Here he is then, the Dr. Valentino Rossi, agonisingly close to winning a race in Sepang. It all went wrong as the rear came round and he decked out whilst leading under pressure from Marc Marquez. He's under no massive pressure today. He'd like to finish third in the World Championship, but he's got to get a rocket start, Matt. Valentino Rossi today starting from row 6, and on a twisty circuit like Valencia, that is going to be a tall order.
It will be a big ask, and of course with the rain starting to fall heavily as well, Valentino Rossi's worst fears coming true. It's going to make the spray a factor. It will make visibility a key issue when you're starting back on that 6th row of the grid. He's joined on the 6th row by Tom Luthi and Carol Abraham as Alvaro Bautista shapes up for his, or what for the time being will be, his last appearance in the MotoGP World Championship. He's not heading into retirement. He's going to try and end Jonathan Ray's domination of the World Superbike Championship next year. Teammates to Chaz Davis on the Aruba Racing Ducati, the new Panigale V4, which he can't wait to get his hands on very shortly, as preparations for the 2019 World Superbike campaign already well underway with that Panigale V4 debut by Chaz Davis in Aragon early this week.
Here's Takaki Nakagami, 14th on the grid. Not a bad effort yesterday. He's been in the points far more regularly in the second half of this season, has Nakagami. He will not win the Rookie of the Year prize this year, but a big year coming for the Japanese rider as he sticks with LCR for the 2019 season. We get closer and closer to the start of this race. Alberto Contador, of course, two-time Tour de France winner, down on the grid. And, well, champions go to champions. He's off to go and have a look at Valentino Rossi. Simon?
Yes, guys, with the rain and some decisions obviously going on and riders preparing helmets and things, it was harder than normal to talk to riders. But, yeah, sorry about the lack of one. We've got someone lined up now, but we have something else on TV for you now.
Here is Aleix Espargaro then, who spoke to Simon just a moment ago.
Eight months ago, we said they were a different breed. They did not disappoint.
And here comes the GP18.
Marquez has got a big problem here.
Oh!
A massive moment there!
Clear contact between Marquez and Rossi.
You ask him question,
if it's no problem,
he answers.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow! It's a hat trick for Marquez.
for this year I would prefer a track like that.
Jorge Lorenzo is back in business. David demolition here in Misano. Maverick Vinales finally wins Marquez. He is world champion in 2018. Here's your front row then for the final show of 2018. Andrea Dovizioso looking to end a 10-year barren run for Ducati here in Valencia. Second on the grid for Suzuki's Alex Rins. And on pole position, Movistar Yamaha rider Maverick Vinales. His first pole since Aragon last year. Can he make it 2 wins in 3 races to bow out in Valencia for 2018?
It's the final round of the 2018 MotoGP World Championship. It's the final round of Dani Pedrosa's distinguished and illustrious career. Starting from the front row, poleman Maverick Vinales, Alex Rins and Andrea Dovizioso. Danilo Petrucci, world champion Marc Marquez, and Pol Espargaro, a season best 6 for him on the KTM Complete Road 2. Andrea Iannone, Aleix Espargaro and Dani Pedrosa in his farewell appearance in MotoGP completes row 3 with Jack Miller, Johan Zarco and Ducati wildcard Michele Pirro, a former Moto2 winner here in Valencia on row 4. Jorge Lorenzo, Taka Nakagami and Franco Morbidelli looking to steal the Rookie of the Year title today on row 5. Valentino Rossi way down on row 6 with Tom Luthi and Carol Abraham. Row 7, led by Alvaro Bautista, who's off to World Superbikes next year. Stefan Bradley in for the injured Cal Crutchlow, with Hafi Sirene on Row 7. Bradley Smith on his final appearance for KTM. Jordi Torres and Scott Redding on his final MotoGP appearance before he heads off to the British Superbike Championship. He completes the 24-rider field.
The warm-up lap begins here then in Valencia for the final show. Away they go. There's been a lot of late changes on the grid, I think, to that softer wet tyre as the rain fell. Today's spectator attendance, considering the forecast and the weather that we've had, hats off to the 97,000 fans that are here today. Simon?
Yes, I'm in the Yamaha garage with Massimo Mirigali. Massimo, it's been a little bit up and down weekend for you and your riders so far, with Maverick going like he's on pole position, but the rain times didn't look as strong. Valley way back on the grid, but he was really fast in the wet warm-up this morning. Do you think Valley can pull out some Sunday morning magic?
Yeah, he was very confident after warm-up. As you know, it won't be easy to start from the 16th place, especially when it's raining. But I think he had the speed, and he has to be. I think he has to use all his experience to be, in a way, calm, because he has the speed to recover.
Thank you, Massimo.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to Massimo Mirigali. Big day then for the Yamaha riders, who finishes third. You can just see there the onboard of Alvaro Bautista, already visibility a big problem. And just before that, you would have seen the stats that do not tell lies about the great Dani Pedrosa.
I remember Nicky Hayden, the late great Nicky Hayden, who won a World Championship here in 2006. He had NDL, didn't he, on his leathers. The numbers don't lie. Well, that's true as well for his former teammate, Dani Pedrosa. Simon?
Guys, I know it's raining hard and there's bigger clouds coming in now, but I don't think it's a bad thing, because a lot of the teams and riders have told me, as the track not dries but has very little water on it, for some reason gets slipperier, and they're saying it's actually safer to have a bit of water on there. Obviously not too much where at Aquaplanes.
Thanks for that, Simon. Well, here we go then. The riders are on the grid. Rossi has a lot of work to do in a lot of spray from row 6. Viñales lines up on pole. Rins, number 42, second, and Dovi on the right there. Marc Marquez, is he in pain with that shoulder after what happened yesterday, and he dislocated it? Pol Espargaro also on the second row, and Danilo Petrucci loves a splash around in the rain. Can he pick up what would be an unbelievable maiden victory in his final race for his team? The final race is here, and we are go in Valencia. A really good start there from Alex Rins in second place on that factory Suzuki. Maverick Viñales did not get away so well. Pol Espargaro was coming through as well. I think it's going to be Rins from Dovizioso, Viñales and Espargaro.
Cool, Rins has got the drop on the field, hasn't he? Big style. Maverick Viñales fighting straight back on Andrea Dovizioso. Pol Espargaro also trying to get up the inside of the Ducati man. Has he found a way through? No. Rins in a little bit hot at that second corner. He pulls it back though. Rins from Viñales and Dovizioso.
Valentino Rossi made a very good start in the early stages of this one. We'll keep a check on him in a moment, but he's already passed Dani Pedrosa a bit further back. There he is, all going wide there. Michele Pirro at turn 4.
Yeah, a bit wild that by Michele Pirro. Like he might just missed his braking marker in all the spray that was being kicked up. So it's Rins from Viñales, who looked really pumped on the grid, didn't he, Maverick Viñales? He was eager to get on with business. Pol Espargaro's picked up 2 places then. Started from a season best 6, he's in 4th and hunting down Andrea Dovizioso.
Yeah, he said he was going to take it easy on the opening few laps on those harder option wet tyres, but at the moment it doesn't look that way, does it? It is Rins that is already trying to open up a lead out front, but we have seen in Moto3 and Moto2, these are treacherous conditions. It is slippery out there. There is Jack Miller hanging it around the outside of Franco Morbidelli, and there is Valentino Rossi, who's up in 10th, so he's made up 6 spots.
Yeah, Jack Miller had a poor start. He started 10th, he's lost 5 places to 15th. Alex Rins has had the dream first lap, exactly where he wanted to be, nailed the start, clear track in front of him, nobody putting any great pressure on him. First lap, we haven't seen a Suzuki victorious since the man behind him, Maverick Viñales, triumphed at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone back in 2016.
And whenever you see a Suzuki winning in the wet, it just reminds you of Chris Vermeulen, doesn't it?
It certainly
Over
does.
in Le Mans 2007 on the straight. Here comes the Ducati side by side then with Maverick Viñales, and it's a mere formality. Through to second place he goes, and Marc Marquez pounces on Pol Espargaro as well.
The speed of Alex Rins, frightening on that first lap. He did a 1:47.6. Maverick Vinales second over the line, a 1:49.3. It was almost 2 seconds faster on that first lap was Alex Rins. There was nobody else in the field did a 1:48. Rins was doing a 1:47.6.
So there is Rins at turn 4. He leads from Dovi, Vinales, Marc Marquez and Pol Espargaro. Rossi's up to 8th now. He's behind Aleix Espargaro on that all-red Aprilia.
Alex Rins is just clearing off into the distance as Pol Espargaro fights back on Marc Marquez. He's made that move, stick at turn number 6. These two had some battle royales in the Moto2 World Championship back in the day. Marquez had a little bit of a twitch on that rear tire. He tried to squeeze the power back home coming out of 6. No way, back through on Pol Espargaro.
Look at the spray here, Matt. It's the heaviest the rain's been all day. Just behind Marc Marquez is Danilo Petrucci, and Rossi's made another space up now.
Something's happened. Did Pol Espargaro run it? He did. He ran. Oh, I thought he ran wide. He just ran out the shot there, didn't he? My heart was in my mouth there. I thought we'd lost Pol Espargaro briefly, but thankfully he's still on board and still having KTM's best ride in MotoGP for some time.
Alex Rins has been nothing short of breathtaking the second half of this season. He's doing a great job out front so far, of course. And you've not got spray ahead of you. It is slightly easier, but he is the guinea pig. There is Pol Espargaro then, so a solid weekend so far for the Red Bull KTM rider. Hanging it out wide there was the world champion Marc Marquez, trying to find a way past Pol.
Blistering speed by Rins. He's come over the line at a 1:42.3. Some tenths of a second quicker than Andrea Dovizioso, who's all got some clear track as well. Vinales is struggling. He's been picked off by Pol Espargaro and Marc Marquez. So the two Spaniards sweep through on Spaniard Vinales, who's now going to get a face full of Marc Marquez's spray.
Pol Espargaro is up to 3rd place. I mean, the day for Red Bull and KTM has already been pretty special. The roof will come off in that garage if Pol stays there by the end of today.
Well, we've had 2.5 laps, not even 2.5 laps here in Valencia, and Alex Rins is 2.5 seconds clear of Andrea Dovizioso. Marc Marquez gambled. He was the only man in the field that's gone for the medium, the harder of the two Michelin rain tyres.
I think Aleix Espargaro's gone down, Matt.
Yeah, as you can see him plummeting down that tower on the left-hand side of the screen. So a disaster for one half of the Espargaro family.
Oh, Marc Marquez is really hot there, really hot. He does well to pull that one up. There's confirmation, sad story on his home race for 41, Aleix Espargaro. That is a risk for Marc Marquez, you know, Matt, because earlier in the weekend I thought he said he wasn't so comfortable with the medium, and that's not a good sign for Aleix Espargaro.
No, it's not with a crucial test coming up in a couple of days' time on the brand new 2019, the Aprilia RSGP prototype. Valentino Rossi then is now up into 7th place. Here's your runaway race leader, Alex Rins, who himself has not been on the top step of the podium since the French Grand Prix in Le Mans in 2016, back in his Moto2 days. A long time since Alex Rins has put himself in this kind of position.
You're right about this battle between Marquez and Pol Espargaro. It really does wind the clock back, doesn't it, to Moto2. Number 44 versus number 93, and Marquez looking to try and outbreak his old rival into turn 1. He doesn't want to see Rins and Dovizioso disappear out front.
How much trust in that front tyre and that front end has Marc Marquez got on that Repsol? He came from a long way back there to lunge up the inside of Pol Espargaro. Brilliant move then by Marquez. He is now in the podium. He has a bit of a twitch there on the gas coming through turn number 3. He's got to be careful. What about Danilo Petrucci, who we thought we'd been making big inroads in the podium battle at this stage of the race? He's trying to find a way through on Maverick Vinales, who's being a bit of a rolling roadblock at the moment. Petrucci, Miller and Rossi ganging up now on Vinales, and Vinales has been picked off by Petrucci. Perfect time to ride on board with Vinales, who's being swamped here by the Alma Planet Ducatis.
Well, when a man that's on pole position says he hopes for a top 7, you know that he's not particularly comfortable in conditions like this at the moment, Vinales. It's a matter of time here before Jack Miller passes him as well, and maybe even his teammate, crucially.
Well, this man is just in a league of his own, a race of his own. His lead now, we haven't even clocked off 4 laps, and Alex Rins is 3.5 seconds clear. Vinales is suffering out there because now Jack Miller's picked his pocket on that tight and twisty infield section, and now the battle rages. The inter-team battle for 3rd in the championship rages between Vinales and Rossi. Valentino Rossi has come from 16th within 3 3/4 laps to get right on the back of his teammate Maverick Vinales, who started in pole position.
Maverick's gone from 1st to 7th, Rossi's gone from 16th to 8th. That one is alive and kicking, and here is Alex Rins, and again, the fastest lap of the race, a 41.972. He is smooth as silk on that Suzuki, and it is paying off here.
Electrifying speed, unbelievable speed, and Marc Marquez is already starting to hunt down Andrea Dovizioso. Rossi has taken that position. 7th place is taken by Rossi from Viñales, and that will mean Valentino Rossi will, by his fingernails, cling on to that 3rd place in the World Championship. Somebody's down. Oh, it's Jack Miller.
It's the 6th crash in that 5th crash of the weekend for Miller. He was asking a bit much, wasn't he, there? He's just been teetering on the edge all weekend as the Australian. I hope he's all right. That's a fast crash at turn 3.
Well, there's your race leader, Alex Rins, who's just reeling off fastest lap after fastest lap. He's decimating the field here. He has now just come through sector 2 on lap number 5, and he's 4 seconds clear of Andrea Dovizioso.
This wasn't in the script. By far and away, all season long, the best 3 riders in wet conditions have been Marc Marquez, Andrea Dovizioso and Danilo Petrucci. Rins did show signs of good pace all weekend here, but he's not been up in that top 2.
Alex Rins said, I read some pre-weekend comments from him where he said, I'm coming here this weekend, Marc Marquez style, all in. I'm going for the win. I think I can win. I thought, I backed him in dry conditions. I didn't see this coming at all from Rins in the wet. Don't really recall him ever being a top rider in the wet conditions. Never really had a liking for rain conditions, but boy, has he proved me wrong today. He's absolutely crushing the field.
In Moto2 in his last year, Matt, he had a bit of a disaster in conditions like this, so it is a bit of a surprise. Now then, here we are on board then. A lovely tribute to Louis Thalom on the back of his helmet here this weekend as well. His great friend, who he sadly lost a couple of years ago.
Well, that would be the perfect way to pay homage to the late, great Louis Thalom if Alex Rins was to sport that beautiful tribute helmet and then take the victory here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. The somewhat ashen-faced Davide Brivio, he looks sick to the bottom of his stomach already, doesn't he?
The trouble is, Matt, there's 22 long laps to go here, whilst there will be no fingernails left.
Some of the Suzuki staff in the background, they've already got their hands clenched together in the prayer mode.
Marc Marquez is pushing his front end. That's not the first time we've said that this year. A replay and the rear end as well after passing Polo Spargaro. But, Matt, the pair of them are starting to get into Andrea Dovizioso now in 2nd place.
Yeah, the rain continues to bucket down here in Valencia. These are the worst conditions we've had of the day here on race day. Alex Rins is now 4.5 seconds clear of Andrea Dovizioso. The intense battle for the podium goes on with Dovizioso, Marquez, Polo Spargaro. Danilo Petrucci's coming into contention as well. Valentino Rossi just put in his fastest lap of the race, a 1:42.467. He was 9/10 quicker than his teammate Viñales.
Oh, Polo Spargaro, man, sorry, this can't happen.
If he does that, it's going to be the move of the century.
That would have been something amazing. On Marc Marquez of all people, Polo Spargaro, big and brave here into turn 13. Michele Pirro has gone down, and afraid he's out of this one as we go across the line with 21 laps to go. And Petrucci's name is tumbling as well.
Yeah, he's gone. Petrucci's disappeared off our radar as well.
Where's it?
He's gone.
There. Petrucci's gone as well.
I mean, you talk about shocking days for Alma Pramac Ducati. Jack Miller and Danilo Petrucci while trying to haul themselves back into podium contention. The conditions are deteriorating here. Jack Miller and Danilo Petrucci are top wet weather riders. And look at that Petrucci, the rear just came round at him through turn 13. You could hear he wasn't really being super aggressive on the throttle. Conditions are deteriorating.
Yeah,
Tom
Luti's
Luti's
gone down as well.
well.
What point, Matt, does it get to though, where all of a sudden this starts getting a bit iffy? Oh, Polo Spargaro's gone.
You know what, Steve? In the blink of an eye, Alex Rins has gone from doing 41s for fun. He's now doing 143s. Gives you a clear indication the race leader has had to really slacken off his pace. Alvaro Bautista said on the eve of this final Grand Prix here this morning, it's going to be a battle of survival.
Oh, Marquez has gone down as well.
Do you know what?
Do you know we could see a stop to this race?
I don't think we're going to be far off from a red flag here.
This could be it. This could be it. We could be a stoppage here, and that has really shaken Marc Marquez.
The shoulder's gone again.
The shoulder has gone once more.
The shoulder's gone yet again. I mean, how many times? Well, that's the second time in about 28 hours That dislocated left shoulder has popped out again. More agony for Marc Marquez.
Oh, the rear
dear
comes
me.
round, and that's a horrible crash for the world champion.
Tell you what, that shoulder would have popped out, I think, before it even landed. I think when he was still hanging onto the handlebars, it would have come out. Look at that, a wallop on his face in the gravel. I think he's got a face full of dirt and gravel there. His visor had flipped off, and he was face down.
Yeah, that will have knocked the stuffing out of Marc Marquez. He's absolutely furious with this situation. Now, the only thing I would say, Matt, in a situation like this, it is treacherous. We've seen a number of fallers, but would the leading riders not be almost trying to signal something here to race direction if they felt themselves at this point that it was too difficult to ride out there?
In 2 or 3 laps, Steve, Alex Rins has backed out of this by 3 seconds. Last time around, Rins did a 1:44.486. It just gives you a crystal clear indication of how much heavier the rain has got, how treacherous now and slippery, slick and greasy this Ricardo Tormo circuit is in Valencia.
Yeah, you can see the back there. Even if he's on the power, they're really, really struggling through the rivers here. Simon, your thoughts on this?
Sorry guys, it's running down to garages to try and catch riders. You know, I can't tell how deep it is, meaning I don't know if they're aquaplaning yet. I know that Marc had the medium rear tyre on and that he lost it at the end of it. It looked like Pol Espargaro had more rear grip. You know, he was driving up on the outside on that long turn. It just, I don't know, it's right on the limit now. Yeah, it's right on the limit now. There's going to be more guys fall if they keep going, but at the same time, they've got to slow down, you know, and just stay on the thing.
Well, Alex Rins has backed off his pace. Remarkably, after all the drama, Valentino Rossi is on the podium. He's in 3rd place now, Rossi, after Marquez and Pol Espargaro dropped out in front of him. You can just pick out Rossi in the mist and the spray behind Andrea Dovizioso. He's in 3rd place.
There's a long, long way to go in this race as well, and it feels like we've had half a season's worth of drama already. Alex Rins leads. This man, Andrea Dovizioso, is 2nd. Then it's Rossi, Vinales, Iannone, Franco Morbidelli is now up into 6th place.
Brilliant job by him. Zarco 7th, Dani Pedrosa in 8th place. Then it's Bradley Smith in 9th. Nakagami rounds out the top 10. That'll be a first top 10 of the season for Taka Nakagami. Tom Luti's crash, of course, means unfortunately for the Swiss rider, his one and only season in the MotoGP World Championship has yielded 0 points. No points for him. Hoy Lorenzo is 12th, just behind Alvaro Bautista. Hafiz Shire in 13th, so that means that Franco Morbidelli is going to wrap up the prestigious Rookie of the Year prize as well.
How difficult must a race like this be to manage for Alex Rins?
You can see, Steve, as they come into turn 8 with lean angle at the end of the back straight where they're carrying a fair rate of knots even in the rain, all the riders, they're having moments on that rear tyre. The rear tyre is just screaming for traction with lean angles. They get into that braking zone for turn number 8. Bit of standing water, it looks like there's certainly in that part of the circuit. It was the 4th sector, wasn't it? There was the troublesome sector when we had real torrential rain on Friday. Right here now, where Alex Rins is currently trying to safely negotiate.
Maverick Vinales, somehow, as the weather gets worse, is actually just starting.
Another twitch.
Another twitch for Alex Rins.
Well, he's getting warnings left, right and centre.
Oh, no,
Iannone's
he's gone down.
He was in 5th place, so there's no double podium charge coming from the factory Suzuki team. There's a few riders getting a bit bashed and beaten up here ahead of the 2019 campaign starting in a couple of days' time. Andrea Iannone, well, we were just saying, weren't we, about how tricky that 4th sector was in the downpour on Friday, the deluge on Friday, and Andrea Iannone straight away goes down at turn 12, and the Maniac is a bit shaken up here. Look at that. That almost pivoted round to a 360 on him.
Unbelievable scenes here at Valencia. I cannot recall a weekend where we've seen so many crashes and conditions that are as tricky as this. So, Rins leads from Dovi and Rossi. Vinales is closing on his teammate Valentino Rossi. That, remember, is the battle for 3rd overall in the World Championship. Franco Morbidelli, as a result of Iannone going down, is now 5th. Dani Pedrosa is now up to 6th in his final outing in Grand Prix racing. And Dani Pedrosa, if he keeps it upright, maybe it will be a dream podium to say goodbye to the MotoGP paddock, because they are going down pretty fast here. We've got 18 laps to go and we've lost 6 riders from this race.
Yeah, and here is Pedrosa up the inside of Johan Zarco. in all of this carbon wrecking spree. It's worth noting as well, of course, with Danilo Petrucci's exit, Johan Zarco will be the top independent team rider in this year's MotoGP World Championship, irrespective of whether Zarco can see it through to the checkered flag. Unashamedly, I'm going to steal that line again from Álvaro Bautista. What a line it was from him to predict it by saying it was a battle of survival. Never has a more true of 3 words been spoken.
Well, as our very own Simon Crafar said this morning, you race your own race in conditions like this. You've got to try and manage it, you've got to try and gauge it, you've got to roll off when you think you need to roll off. Here is a brilliant job coming from Franco Morbidelli.
Massive shout out to all the rookies, because Taka Nakagami's, oh, look at that, in the hollow, coming out of turn number 14, bit of standing water. You can just see Morbidelli's rear tyre kick sideways as he aquaplaned on the throttle.
Well, race direction will keep a close eye on that, because that was the reason, once it got bad there, where the red flags came out in free practice.
Just about to say, Steve, I've got to give a massive shout out to Morbidelli and Nakagami in the top 10. That they've got such little wet weather experience. Really, Malaysia last time out in Sepang was the first time that they'd had any real chance to ride these MotoGP weapons, 270 odd horsepower in rain conditions, in anger. And here is Franco Morbidelli out there in a brilliant 5th position.
Top Honda. There is Bradley Smith. Good job from him. Steady 8th place as it stands. That would be a best for Bradley Smith as he moves into testing duties for 2019. And there is Takaki Nakagami.
Yeah, well, as we said, it would be his first top 10. He's knocked on the door a few times this year, Taka Nakagami. He actually, coming in this weekend, was saying he wasn't too disappointed about these pretty grim and bleak weather forecasts, because he said, well, I need wet track time in MotoGP. He said, I'm weak in the rain and I need time on the bike to improve. So perfect opportunity for him to do so, as Álvaro Bautista now finds himself in the top 10. He's comfortably clear of Jorge Lorenzo, who's having a fairly disappointing farewell to the factory Ducati team. Speaking of disappointments, 5 crashes for Jack Miller, and he looks like a man who's got to face a long wet Sunday, and that's exactly what it's going to be now for Jack Miller, a very long wet Sunday.
So this is Álvaro Bautista. He's taking his own advice. Rossi's closing in on Dovizioso. Dovizioso's closing in on Rins.
Tell you what, credit to Maverick Vinales as well, Steve. These are just about the worst conditions we've seen all race, and he's just riding his fastest lap at 1:42.983. 3/10 quicker than Rossi ahead of him, as Jorge Lorenzo has got his hands full keeping the fish. Bel Pascal Hafiz Shireen at bay.
Pol Espargaro up ahead of him.
Yeah, and he's been on the floor.
He's been on the floor. Pol Espargaro is 11th.
What on earth are these guys actually even seeing where they're going? Scott Redding in 14th place, trying to have a point-scoring finish on his MotoGP farewell. It's Stefan Bradl behind him, Cal Crutchlow's injury replacement, as Marc Marquez comes back to a dry Repsol Honda garage. Well, mentally frustrated.
Matt, when was the last time Marquez crashed out of a race and didn't rejoin it? That is a long time ago.
Well, he had a DNF in Silverstone, that wasn't his fault. Look at that. Nothing he can do. The rear just came around at him in a flash. And there you go. There, out pops that left shoulder yet again. He needs surgery on that in a couple of weeks' time. Marc Marquez, second DNF, of course, now in 3 races. Phillip Island was no fault of his own. What about the team championship as well?
I've just got to quickly point out before we go down to Simon, this is Alex Rins. His gap at the front has come down.
Gone down, Steve.
Oh, it's getting treacherous. But so is Vinales, big time at turn 13. He's gone down. I was about to say, Rossi's really on the tail now of Dovizioso. That's a big crash at turn 13 for Maverick.
Yeah, there's pensive faces now up and down the pit lane. Vinales, I don't think he's gone, well, turn 14.
That bike is wrecked.
I reckon he's lost it at 13.
Vinales is saying, get it stopped.
Yeah, he's
13. Oh, the rear's come
Dear
round him
me.
at 13. That's just about the worst crash you could have.
That's
here.
what happened to Petrucci as well, wasn't it? You know, Vinales, he was pushing. Danny Pedrosa now is in 4th place. Look, let's have a listen. Look at that. Nothing he could have done with the back. You could hear he was being ginger and tentative on the throttle as it was. That's a nasty old crash for Maverick Vinales.
Well, Valentino Rossi, this is where it changes every time you look at the screen, because he's now on top of Dovizioso. Simon, we'll come to you in a moment, because Rossi's about to go into second place here.
Stephen, these guys, they're only just over a second now behind Alex Rins. There's big contact from Valentino Rossi down the field, but you can see his front brake lever protector, that's in the air, that's vertical. There's been a bit of rubbing for Valentino Rossi. He might be able to make it out there as we look back from Andrea Dovizioso. Rossi on this brilliant charge through from 16th. He's had some contact somewhere because that brake lever protector's been bent out of shape.
On board now then with Valentino Rossi. Is it a matter of time before he passes Dovizioso? Can he smell a victory?
There was Franco Morbidelli's hopes
what a
gone.
shame for Franco. He was having a fantastic race. Well, it's all changed behind as well, because Zarco's now 5th, Smith's now 6th, Nakagami is now in 7th place.
Well, if any one of these guys goes down, Rins, Dovizioso and Rossi, and I hope for their sake it doesn't happen, that puts Danny Pedrosa in his last MotoGP race on the podium. Pedrosa's well out of it. He's 15.5 seconds behind Rossi, so he needs a mistake ahead of him.
What happened to Rossi there? Did he aquaplane? Because he lost a lot of time. He was right on the tail of Dovizioso. We were looking at his pit board. I wonder if he aquaplaned there out of turn 14. Well, look at Rins, look, he's struggling here, really struggling.
Rins is down in the 145s. Last time around, well, Dovizioso was almost a second quicker. 9/10 Dovizioso took out of Alex Rins. It doesn't seem that long ago when Alex Rins was 4.5 seconds clear of the field, and then the conditions really did take the big turn for the worse. Bradley Smith's gone down now as well. He was in 6th place.
Well, this race is getting more and more crazy.
Demolition derby.
You just wonder, don't you, whether Alex Rins is actually thinking at the moment, I don't want to lead this race. I'll let someone else take this one.
Well, Paul Espargaro's crash, he's now 8th.
Oh, another horrible crash.
That's the Petrucci Vinales job all over again, isn't it? Poor old Bradley Smith. Again, the punishment not really fitting the crime.
Right, this is going to change quickly. We have actually got the top 3 riders all together as we head now down towards the final sector here. Unbelievable race. This is, and Rins has gone well wide, and both of them gobble him up. Dovizioso now leads, and Valentino Rossi's in second.
He's been struggling for pace for a good few laps now as Alex Rins. What was I saying at the start of the programme about Valentino Rossi potentially staring down the barrel of only the 3rd season in his career without a victory? He was so close to ending that run last time out at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. And Rossi's attacking! Here he goes, he's into the lead. Is he going to run it wide? He is. Dovizioso will cut it back into turn number 14. Valentino Rossi led for what? A couple of seconds. Dovizioso has the advantage again.
They're side by side. He's putting his hand up, Dovizioso. He wants this one called.
Yeah, guys, it's raining heavier and heavier down here. I would
red flag. It's over. The red flag is out.
It's gone. Red flag. Now, I should just point out at this stage that we're on lap 15, and we just started lap 15 of 27. We are not.
Rossi hasn't realised, Steve. Rossi's still thinking that this race is on.
Well, it is red flagged. He'll see in a moment, and it'll come up on his dashboard. And I think that's the right call after the crashes that we've seen.
He hasn't seen it, because it will be on his dashboard, yeah. See, Rossi's racing on. That's why Dovizioso's still going with him. Valentino Rossi's so in the zone, so deep in concentration, he hasn't realised that this has been red flagged. Unless he hasn't been signalled.
Not completed, the race has to be restarted, and it goes back a lap, and Rins was leading on that lap, so effectively if the race was to be restarted...
Valentino Rossi still hasn't realised that the race has been stopped.
Well, unbelievable scenes here. Now watch this, Rins just goes in way too hot. He's out well wide. Dovizioso goes through, Valentino Rossi follows.
Wow, what a dramatic way.
And then this coming down into the final corner.
Yeah, it was straight after this. Rossi got in at turn 14, he ran in hot, he ran wide, and then right from here, Andrea Dovizioso, as he starts winding up that Ducati to top gear,
here comes
he starts aquaplaning and he puts his left arm up. Watch this, look at that. Andrea Dovizioso just fighting his way through the puddles. That's what happens when you're trying to put about 270 odd horsepower through a rear tyre that's aquaplaning on a soaking wet, sodden Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia.
I've got to say, Matt, I've not seen a race like this for a long time. I really haven't.
Well, we've only got, Steve, 15 riders who will make the restart. Half the field's gone. Bradley Smith, Maverick Vinales, Franco Morbidelli, Andrea Iannone, world champion Marc Marquez, Petrucci, Lutti, Miller and Espargaro all crashed out in those horrendous conditions. I think Andrea Dovizioso just saying there to Valentino Rossi, blimey me old mate, and these two have pretty much seen everything in their long careers. I think even Dovizioso and Rossi were looking at each other going, yeah, it's just far too dangerous to continue out there now. Looking out of our commentary box window now, it's not easing, it's getting worse.
Well, a wave to the fans from Valentino Rossi. Look at them, they're absolutely drenched.
Well, it looks like
these guys
are standing under Niagara Falls.
Matt, it's times like this when you watch these racing, this sort of race, where you just realise what heroes MotoGP riders are like. This is just incredible stuff.
And with the race to be restarted, there is still a chance for Dani Pedrosa in the restart to end his career, a glittering career, with a podium finish. A surprise second chance comes to Dani Pedrosa.
The last full lap was Rins, who went across the line in front of Dovizioso with Rossi in third.
You know it's getting really bad when the best riders in the world say, guys, this is just too dangerous. Andrea Dovizioso, who is such a phenomenally gifted wet weather rider, he's seen enough quite clearly with the aquaplaning down that start-finish straight. It is absolutely teeming down here in Valencia. Great job by Alex Rins. Boy, did he make the early pace, and it was a red-hot pace at the start. You can just see how much the rain conditions worsened. Alex Rins, when the rain was not at its worst at the start of the race, was comfortably doing low laps in the 141s. His last lap before the red flag was thrown was a 1:45.199. Unless conditions worsen, a rider of Alex Rins' calibre does not suddenly back off by 4 seconds per lap. Perfect illustration of just how difficult and complicated it got out there just to stay on board. As we said before, Álvaro Bautista, battle of survival in the extreme. We might have a fairly lengthy delay here, ladies and gentlemen, because right now, as we said before, it is a deluge here in Valencia. Here's the race start on board from the world champion, Marc Marquez. Didn't get a bad launch off the line. Paul Espargaro was superb. Big hit there between...
Yeah, we didn't see that at the start.
That would have been Danilo Petrucci, wouldn't it? That was Petrucci. He was on the inside of Marc Marquez. Jack Miller fluffed the start. Look at the wheel spin that Miller had as well. That's why he lost those 5 places. Look at this, the big contact. Oh, good. Petrucci was nearly down. You could see Danilo Petrucci out the corner of his eyes, peripheral vision. You could see that orange blur coming towards him.
There aren't many people that win an elbows battle with Petrucci.
Well, that's not the first time those two have clashed off the start line. Remember Barcelona last year?
Yeah. Simon.
I'm just waiting for some riders, guys, and Bradley Smith came steaming down the pit lane, pushing his bike looked like the end, part of the way through an endurance race, how those poor guys pushed their bikes back, and he made it to the garage. He's obviously trying to get out because it was red flagged, and you know what I'm saying, they'll go back 1 lap, but he's lying down. He's totally burnt out from pushing the bike back.
Well, they must be, these guys must be just mentally drained as well. The concentration and focus needed to ride these MotoGP bikes in conditions as severe as what we've just witnessed. You can see there from that shot, the rain just continues to bucket down. There's your ticker at the bottom of the screen. The grid positions based on standings as of lap 13, which means it will be Rins, Dovizioso and Rossi on the front row, with Pedrosa, Zarco and Nakagami on row 2. Taka Nakagami not only on course for his first ever top 10 in MotoGP, on course for a top 6, potentially even a podium.
I will just
get underway again.
I will just point out for viewers watching at this moment in time, in terms of the weather, that is the situation at the moment. The ideal scenario is the race starts and it would be 14 laps. There is a possibility for those laps to be cut down if we run out of time, because darkness falls quite early here in Valencia in late November.
It does not matter what happens to that man on the middle of your screens, what happens to him on a Friday or a Saturday, nothing phases him. Come Sunday afternoon and you know that Valentino Rossi is going to be there. The new race, when we do get a restarted time, we'll keep you posted. It will be run over 14 laps. We of course only had the 13 of the scheduled 27, or 13 completed laps of the scheduled 27, so there will be a restart that will be run over 14 laps. That of course is weather permitting, because it looks pretty atrocious and diabolical out there at the moment.
Well, Alex Rins
He's putting on some dry socks.
Started the race well for a change. He normally wears the same pair over the entire weekend. I bet he's changed that policy now.
Yeah. Smelly and soaking wet, those initial pair. Not a good combination.
Well, the fans have braved this. 97,000 fans in here today to watch the season finale. Lorenzo here did not fall. He was in 11th at that particular time. He won't be having much fun here. There are only 13 riders, actually, out of the 24 who started that haven't fallen.
Exactly, yeah. Pol Espargaro, amazingly, he's going to make the restart. Crashing out of the podium battle, he's going to make the restart in 8th place. And Michele Pirro as well, who was down. So a fresh and, more importantly, a dry pair of socks have been fitted to the feet, the very fast feet of Alex Rins.
Well, this is the thing, Matt, is that with Pol Espargaro, of course, the bike will just get a little bit of work done on it. If there was any damage from the crash, he'll get some more wet tyres to use. He's a danger man again now, Pol Espargaro.
Absolutely.
Because he was up there. He was battling Marquez. He was not far behind Rins and Dovizioso. Rins might fancy that if he could do the same again, that he's got a good chance at a 14-lap race. And now Valentino Rossi, well, 16th on the grid, to be in 3rd and at one point leading there. What a remarkable race.
Well, when you think as well that Valentino Rossi's not had a podium in the last 8. What was the famous old saying? Write the doctor off at your peril. There's Alex Rins just getting suited and booted, ready for the restart. The safety car, not the first time this weekend we've seen Loris Capirossi and Franco Uncini cutting laps in the BMW safety car. Marc Marquez, his racing season is done and dusted, and unfortunately it ended in a pile of dust with a big crash for the world champion, dislocating that left shoulder yet again. This is what ended Marquez's challenge. He was hunting down Andrea Dovizioso in the battle for 2nd place, and then look at that, fired over the handlebars of that Repsol Honda. That's at this point, you know straight away that left shoulder's popped out again. Then the visor gets flipped off. Look at that, he's just getting a face full of gravel. Nothing he could have done about that. Absolutely nothing.
Some really horrible crashes in that race. Marc Marquez being one of them.
You make an interesting point, Steve, of course. Yeah,
I'm now looking back.
Yeah, Philip Island, of course, that wasn't his fault because he was taken out by Johan Zarco. Silverstone last year wasn't his fault because that was the engine failure. Simon?
I'm with Danny Aldridge. Danny, can you tell us what's happening from here?
Obviously, you can see the race was red flagged because of track conditions. Too much rain at the moment for safety reasons. It's been stopped until further notice, until it gets better. If the conditions permitted, we would go out for a 14-lap race. It'll be a quick restart, but we hopefully to have 14-lap race.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to Danny Aldridge, thanks to Simon Crayford. You can clearly see there, this downpour has left a huge puddle of standing water in that little hollow, that build dip, as you come out of turn number 14 and accelerate down the start-finish straight. So the track in its current condition, just not conducive to the restart at all. I suppose the only glimmer of hope for us is if the rain does ease, the drainage around this Ricardo Tormo circuit is second to none. Some of the best drainage of the calendar, so fingers crossed, all being well. We have still got some more race action to bring you in the 2018 MotoGP World Championship.
The answer to the question about Marc Marquez, Le Mans last year.
Oh, that's right, yeah, when he had that big fast crash up at turn 2. This was the end of Tom Lutey's MotoGP career. Not the way he wanted it to end either, flying through the air. This is going to be a horrible, heavy landing for Tom Lutey. He's going to be thankful he's got an airbag fitted to his leather suit there. Bit of a whack on the back of the head as well for good measure. Look at that, he pops back up into the air as well, Tom Lutey. He's got the Hertz sponsorship on his helmet, and that is going to hurt. Going to hurt big style. That was horrible, horrible crash. It's the end of the year for Maverick Vinales in terms of race action. Thankfully, he's okay and on his feet because that was a big old tumble he took at turn number 13. He'll feel like he's just been put into a washing machine on a full fast spin right now.
Yeah, high siding at turn 13 is not really top of the priority list when it comes to crashes, if you're going to have them here. Watch this, on the power, downhill, snap.
Yeah, you know, he landed hard on that shoulder as well, didn't he? That's the kind of crash where it's easy to break a collarbone, that would have been a disaster. With a brand new engine, a brand new M1 for him to test. Let's have a listen. You could just hear him. He was winding power into that factory Yamaha, but big tumble for Maverick Viñales. There's nothing he could do about that. You don't see MotoGP riders, Steve, high-siding that often these days. It just shows how bad these conditions have got. Viñales high-sided, Jack Miller high-sided, Danilo Petrucci high-sided, Marc Marquez high-sided. We've just seen Tom Luthi high-side as well. I'm guessing the way that Aleix Espargaro was struggling to get on his feet, he had a high side as well. These riders are the elite of the elite, the best of the best. They're not overly aggressive with their right hands. Just gives you an idea of how bad the conditions are when so many riders have pitched themselves over the handlebars. There's a lot of repair work to be done on that factory Yamaha. They may well just go, you know what, or we can skip that one, send it in the crate back to Japan. No even any point in attempting to rebuild that one.
That might not go down quite so well with the Petronas team that might be taking one of them on board for a test on Tuesday or Wednesday. Simon.
I'm with Frankie Morbidelli. Frankie, tell us what it was like out there.
Yeah, it was pretty strange, let's say. The condition was getting worse and worse. The aquaplaning was so much in the straight, and the spray was tricky, quite tricky. And unfortunately, I was trying to control, but anyway, I crashed, and yeah, my race finished this way.
Okay, better luck for the next season, Frank. Oh, I can see you watching. Okay.
Yeah, this was the first moment I had. I managed to control it, but the second one I didn't.
Bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Simon, and credit to Franco Morbidelli for coming to talk to you in pit lane. Of course, Franco Morbidelli's exit and the fact that he's not able to make the restart, Hafi Siren will start from 10th place. Now, the Rookie of the Year title, which we all thought was done and dusted, well, that's still game on. Because if Hafi Siren finds himself inside the top 5 or the top 6, he will be the Rookie of the Year. Now, nobody would have seen that one coming a few minutes ago.
To be honest, Matt, based on what we've seen so far in Moto3, Moto2, and the start of that MotoGP race here today, anything is possible.
Yeah, Mark BDS, hold your Morbidelli Rookie of the Year press release, I think, for another few minutes, that's for sure.
Here's Jack Miller. He'll be gutted as well. He exited the scene quite early on. He was the second rider to crash. He was well placed, just up behind his teammate, and the rear came round on him at turn 3.
Tell you what, he was lucky not to get a bit of a clattering there from that Pramac Ducati. But it's been a weekend to forget for Jack Miller. When he's been on board that Pramac Ducati, he's been brilliantly fast. That one stings.
He's angry about that.
I was going to say, I would not go and stick a microphone or get anywhere too close to Jack Miller for the next half an hour or so. His crash tally for the weekend, 5. The last time I remember anybody causing that kind of chaos was Bradley Smith at the Saxon Ring, maybe 2015, 2016, when Smith had 5 crashes. It's not the record you kind of want to be having.
A wry smile on the face there of Paul Espargaro. What an eventful 20 minutes it had been for him, of course. He was up there having a brilliant scrap with his old rival from Moto2, Marc Marquez, and sadly crashing out of what looked like it might have been a heroic podium performance. You think he's down and out of it, then he remounts and he was in 8th when the red flag came out.
And what about this man, Dani Pedrosa, still with a great chance to bow out of MotoGP on the podium.
He must be thinking to himself at the moment, Matt, the best thing that I can do if this race restarts in the wet is just keep it simple, keep it upright, and I might well end my career on the podium, because he's so experienced, Matt. He knows the score. 294 Grand Prix down. He's just watched people throwing it everywhere, left, right and centre.
Well, when you see how many riders have crashed, Steve, you know, and Dani Pedrosa's diminutive size, it's so hard for him to control what a MotoGP bike that weighs around 160 kilos with so much power. He's so light. You know, he doesn't put the force through the tyres in these rain conditions with his natural body weight like riders like Danilo Petrucci can do, who's around 20 kilos heavier than Dani Pedrosa. Back to you, Simon.
Yes, I'm in the KTM garage, and there's a lot of work going on here because both sides are repairing bikes ready to get out there. I'm with Paul Espargaro pole, that was action-packed. You were fighting for the podium and chasing Mark, and tell us what happened.
Yeah, Mark was really fast in the T1, then in T2, T3 I think I could be a little bit faster and catch Dobby, so I needed to approach him to overtake him in more or less corner 5, 6, and then I did too fast corner 3 and I had a high side. Luckily the bike stays on, I could take the bike again, and then I overtake a lot of guys, still arrived to 7th position. So we are gonna start the race I think 8 because they red flagged a little bit early on. So yeah, I mean we've been fast, but maybe it's too much. Let's see now how is the water, if it's all rain, and then we can go again. Yeah, and then do something interesting.
Good luck with the second part.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. Good of Pol Espargaro to talk to us. He will start from 8th. If this rain lets up and we do get a 14-lap race and you fancy a flutter, get on your betting apps and bet on anyone, because anything can happen coming up here. I can tell you that there will be 16 riders allowed to take part on the grid. Bradley Smith is included in that because his crash was actually on the lap that it goes back to, where all the riders completed, if that makes sense. Bradley Smith then, if they can fix the bike, will be allowed to restart, but from 16th on the grid, and that would be stone last. Only 16 will make it for the restart here, and we're at 2:45 local time, so we've got a bit of time to play with. Matt, what time has it been getting dark here? About 5 o'clock?
Yeah, we've got time on our side. Hopefully there is going to be some kind of relenting in this currently relentless rain. Yeah, interesting. At least to Pol Espargaro, wasn't it? Going back to his battle with Marc Marquez. I thought I'd been teleported back to 2012 for a while there. Well, the hair dye is still intact. Hasn't run yet for Álvaro Bautista. Difficult times these, of course, for riders. They've already been out there risking life and limb for those first 13 laps, and then to sort of wait for a break in the conditions, to try and see if you can got to psych yourself up, mentally prepare yourself again to go back out. Álvaro Bautista, when he does get back out there, hopefully for another crack at it in his final MotoGP appearance, it will be from the middle of the third row.
What we should just quickly point out as well, before we forget, is that despite the disappointments for Repsol Honda and Marc Marquez, because Maverick Vinales crashed out, the Repsol Honda team have wrapped up the Triple Crown. They've got that one in the bag. So Marc Marquez, the Riders' Champion, Honda, Constructors, and Repsol Honda, as a result of Maverick Vinales going down, regardless as to what happens now in this race, Repsol Honda have also won the team championship as well.
A very disappointing end to a good year for the Alma Pamit Ducati team. Danilo Petrucci, this is where his hopes of being the top independent team rider in the championship came to a frustrating, and I'm sure a pretty painful ending as well. Again, just nothing he could do about it. Look at that, the rear has come round on him, and he is just along for the ride. An uncomfortable one at that. The ground is coming really, really fast for Danilo Petrucci. So much spray being kicked up there by Pol Espargaro and Marc Marquez. We could barely actually pick out Danilo Petrucci in the background. That's such a shame, because he was on course to be, or certainly giving Johan Zarco a tight run for his money to be the top independent team rider. See Petrucci make too many mistakes this year. Back to you, Simon.
Yes, I'm in the Yamaha garage with Piero Taramasso from Michelin. Piero, with the restart, what is the story? I mean, I know they're allowed new tyres, but so many of the teams had so many wet sessions that, do they have enough?
Yes, the regulation is say that you can change tyres. So the situation right now is a mixed situation. We have some riders, they manage to save some new tire, so they will restart with a new tire in the front or in the rear, and some other they will change with another sets with the less lap than the one that they use maybe at the beginning of the race. I think some they will keep the same tire, exactly the same. You know, they stop the race. So we will have all three situations on the track at the restart of the race.
And conditions, from your point of view as tyre manufacturer, what do you think?
condition, I agree with the GP direction to stop the race at that moment. It's true that in some part of the track was some paddle. The condition, yeah, they were quite penalized, quite bad. So, I mean, that was the right decision. But now it looks like it's stopped to rain, so he will dry out, let's say.
And the obvious choice for the race would be, in your opinion, the soft rear?
Yes. I think that because it will be a short race, will be 14 laps maximum, everybody will go out with a soft front, a soft rear.
Thank you, Piero.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for that insight and information from Michelin's Piero Taramasso. We just saw there Jorge Lorenzo having a discussion on BT Sport with their pit lane reporter James Toseland, of course a former double World Superbike champion and the monster Yamaha Tech 3 rider back in the day. JT now working for British TV. Sure, he's pretty relieved he's not out there right now, actually, James Toseland. The fans are being patient, they're sitting tight. Hopefully we will get a conclusion to the Valencia Grand Prix. Of course, in many respects, what we've seen already before today is consigned now to the history books. It's a complete new race, isn't it? As Tetsuhiro Kawata, the HRC director, looks on. When all's said and done, it's been a tremendous season for HRC. Steve said they have wrapped up the Triple Crown, successfully defended the Triple Crown. Although he knows that it's been a painful weekend for his main man, Marc Marquez. Twice in just over 24 hours, he's dislocated that very troublesome left shoulder. This is where it all came to an end for Marc Marquez. The first time he's not going to finish the Grand Prix through a mistake of his own since Le Mans in 2017. That famous day when Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi had a good old battle for the victory when Rossi crashed on the last lap.
Here we're going to see it. About 145 kilometres an hour, I
reckon he hadn't even hit the floor when that shoulder popped out. It's so weak, so susceptible to any damage. When you're high-siding a MotoGP bike in full wet conditions, the speed Marc Marquez was doing, well, it's so easy to dislocate that weak left shoulder. He could pretty much dislocate his shoulder in his sleep now. It's so weak. He will have surgery in early December on that damaged left shoulder. It will keep him out of action, or certainly prevent him from having his normal rigorous training regime throughout the winter months as the marshals get busy with the brushes, trying to make sure we get some action later on. In fact, we've got some information for you. We've got a quick restart procedure at 3 p.m. local time. Pit lane exit will open for 60 seconds. Of course, that means the riders will peel out of the pit lane. They'll have one mechanic in their allocated grid position as they come to the grid, just in case there are any kind of problems. And then we will be hopefully underway for the conclusion to a thrilling and dramatic, not only Valencian Grand Prix here, but a 2018 MotoGP World Championship. So at 3 p.m. local time, which is in just about, 9.5 minutes time, the pit lane will be open, the quick restart procedure will be implemented, and hopefully there'll be another dramatic 14 laps coming your way here in Valencia.
Yeah, well, there'll be a number of riders who sense an opportunity here. We only have 16 that will make the restart, so that's 8 down on the original, and there may well have been a few tweaks that teams and riders will have made to their setup if they went out and they felt perhaps it wasn't quite right for them.
Looks like somebody might need to convince Johan Zarco to get back out there. He doesn't exactly look like he's eager to get back out on circuit, does he? Pale-faced, not exactly looking over enamoured at the prospect of venturing back out onto the Valencia circuit.
He's had a couple of massive crashes, hasn't he, in the last 3 weeks, Johan Zarco, not least yesterday, of course.
There's the world champions crashed Repsol Honda RC213V, not the way that Marc Marquez wanted to bring the curtain down on yet another brilliant season for him. There's Aprilia's global ambassador, Max Biaggi, a 4-time 250cc world champion. He's been a regular face this year in that new role with Aprilia. Well, he'll continue to be a regular face in the World Championship paddock next year, of course. The Max Racing team joining the Moto3 grid next year. with Aaron Canet, the Valencian born and bred Moto3 rider, joining that KTM project next year. So Max Biaggi moving into a management role.
Jackie Ickx, two-time Formula One runner-up and the Dakar Rally winner, is here as well for a play. Just getting out of the rain. Should just point out as well, I mentioned the Repsol Honda Team Championship being sorted. Of course, Valentino Rossi is guaranteed third in the World Championship now with Viñales out.
Yeah, it's chopped and changed so many times, the championship scenarios in that race. Third place is decided, the Triple Crown decided, the Rookie of the Year still up for grabs, the independent team rider, that's decided in favour of Johann Zarco. Alex Rins getting ready to venture back out onto the circuit. Pit lane will be open in about 7 minutes time. See that new schedule on the left-hand corner of your screen. The pit lane open at 3 p.m. local time. Alex Rins has got it all to do again. Blistering start from a career best in MotoGP, second on the grid. And at one stage before the conditions really did deteriorate and the rain started to fall really heavily, he was 4.5 seconds clear of the field. Now, we talked about how quickly this Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia drains. The rain has definitely eased off. In fact, it looks like it's stopped completely. And you can just see, I mean, the marshals are obviously brushing the standing water away in the worst affected areas. But everywhere else, you can see how quickly the water has drained away here in Valencia. That's the reason why, thankfully, so quickly, we're going to get some track action again pretty soon. Simon, back to you.
Yes, the man you saw on the screens a little while ago, Jackie Ickx, who's runner-up in F1 twice and winning Dakar. I'll tell you what, Jackie, you take over from here. Let the people know what you've done. And I've got another question for you.
Well, I must admit, they are doing a great show. The motorcycle world and the drivers are doing an incredible job. What they've done today in these really difficult conditions, accepting the risk of driving on the rain condition, the show was very, very impressive. Obviously, there have been a number of faults. A number of them stayed on their wheels. They are going to restart the race because obviously the track is in a little bit better condition. But as a car driver, I must admit, I'm terribly impressed, and I cross my fingers for the end of the race.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Fantastic to hear from a four-wheeled motorsport legend, Jackie Ickx. There's Stefan Bradl then, having some last-minute conversations with Christophe Bourguignon, crew chief down at LCR Honda. Steve mentioned we wish a rapid recovery to Cal Crutchlow. That horrible broken right leg he suffered in Phillip Island has ruled Crutchlow out of Malaysia. It's ruled him out of this Valencia Grand Prix. We will not see Cal Crutchlow riding in anger on a MotoGP bike until the first test of 2019 at the Sepang International Circuit next year in early February.
There's Aleix Espargaro. He'll be gutted that he can't make the restart. Unfortunately, he was the first rider to go down and out of the race earlier on.
Happy to see him looking relatively okay, Steve. He was very slow to his feet, wasn't he, Aleix Espargaro? Took a real heavy tumble. First couple of laps, having started from 8th place. He would have fancied this. Second in the wet warm session this morning, Aleix Espargaro. Thankfully, though, doesn't look like there's any lasting damage after that crash, and he will be fit and healthy to jump on board that full-blown 2019 RSGP prototype, winging its way over from Nawale in a couple of days' time. There's the fans braving this inclement, horrible weather conditions. They've still got two dogs in the fight, the Tech 3 Yamaha team, Johann Zarco and Happy Cyrene. And speaking of Tech 3 Yamahas, here's one of their former employees, Bradley Smith, who gets an unexpected and unlikely second chance to end his KTM career with a top 6 finish.
Bradley Smith made a funny comment, didn't he, as we were leaving the paddock a couple, was it yesterday or day before, when the British national anthem was playing for the British Talent Cup? He said, "Oh, it's nice to hear that. I'd love to hear that again before I go out." Well, you just never know, do you? Bradley Smith, actually, his last win was here.
It was, yeah, long time ago. Yeah, I remember that day very, very well. A Danny Pedrosa fan, very well protected from the elements. Got to say, Steve, every time our cameras floated inside one of these garages, every single rider is looking pretty pensive, pretty apprehensive. They've got to go out there and do the business yet again. There's a happy young lady, not so happy, of course, with the outcome of what happened to her favourite rider today, but Marc Marquez, we'll hope to see him back in action in a couple of days' time at the traditional post-race test. We can go back to Simon Craig for those in the pit lane.
Yes, I'm in the Aprilia garage this time with Aleix Espargaro. Aleix, it looks like you've hurt yourself a little bit. You limped over to me then. What was it like out there?
Yeah, I have a nice fly in corner 3. For me, it was just aquaplaning. It was a lot of water. The visibility was very, very low, and for me, it was in the limit of the red flag. I don't know why they don't show it before, but I make high side in a very strange place in corner 3, and exactly the same jack in the lap after my one. Anyway, I'm frustrated because I've been strong all weekend. I've been strong this morning in the wet, so it's a shame because we lose a good opportunity to fight for a good position, but races are like this.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks very much to Aleix Espargaro for talking to Simon, and as Matt rightly says, hopefully he's going to be fit, ready for the test on Tuesday. Don't forget, we're going to be bringing you that all live Tuesday and Wednesday. Myself, Matt, Simon will be here from 10 o'clock local time on Tuesday to bring you all of the action from the Tuesday and Wednesday. We are just under 2 minutes away from pit lane opening here. If you've just joined us at the circuit, Ricardo Tormo. Of course, they are flag-to-flag races in MotoGP, and the rulebook says flag-to-flag races will not be interrupted unless, of course, race direction deem that it is unsafe to continue, which is what happened earlier. We only have 16 bikes that will make the restart, and the grid positions are defined from the finishing positions on the previous lap before the red flag came out. So it will be Rins on pole from Dovizioso and Rossi. Pedrosa will start from 4th, Zarco 5th, Nakagami 6th, and there is a massive opportunity for a number of riders to put on a great show here, and particularly riders that might not be in this paddock for next year.
So the helmet goes on, potentially for one final time for Dani Pedrosa. We thought his Grand Prix career would have already wound down by now, wouldn't we? But after that red flag, the safest and wisest choice, of course, by the FIM stewards and race direction. Some brave fans are sticking out for the elements. They are going to see 14 laps, all being well, to complete this Valencia Grand Prix. The pit lane now, the clock ticking 30 seconds away from the resumption of proceedings. It's the 60-second quick start procedure. So the pit lane will be open for 60 seconds. The riders will come to the grid. They'll have to be represented by one of their mechanics or a chosen representative to welcome them to the grid.
So many reasons why a race win for any of the 16 riders on the grid would be heroic. Alex Rins never won a MotoGP race. It would be fantastic for them to do it. Not since Maverick, of course, have they won a race in MotoGP. This man hasn't won in Valencia for 14 years. Valentino Rossi. Dovizioso's only ever had a 3rd place, and Ducati haven't won here in a decade. And then if you look anything beyond the front row, well, it would just be an absolute marvel.
Big incentive for any Ducati rider. A victory today will be their 50th in their history. 46th in the MotoGP World Champion would be. They had 4 way back in the day in the 125cc World Championship. And if we don't have a Spanish winner in the 14 laps about to come your way, in the last 9 years, across all 3 classes in Valencia, at least one winner has been Spanish. Without giving too much away, read into that obviously what you will, but there's been no Spanish winner in Moto3 or Moto2.
If I had to draw a pound out of your pocket right now, Matt, to place on someone at this position, because it's a really tough one to call, where would you stick it?
Rossi. I'm going for Rossi, I think. The way he came through the field, he looked like he was really strong. The confidence that he lost that had drained out of him yesterday. Pit lane's closed then, the clock's ticked down. It was open for just 60 seconds. I think Rossi will see this as such a great opportunity to end his long run. 28 races it is since Valentino Rossi won. There are the lone team representatives that you're allowed on the grid for the quick restart procedure.
Something rather magical could happen here. Here is Jorge Lorenzo. He's obviously still struggling with injury. He just wants to see the checkered flag.
Guys, have you seen the tyre list? Have you got it on your screen? Because everyone's soft. So soft front, soft rear, except Bradl has a medium on the front. That's what I'm told by Michelin right now.
Okay, thanks for that, Simon.
Just quickly going back to your little one-pound flutter. My head says Rossi, my heart says Pedrosa. Can you imagine the dream it would be for Danny Pedrosa to bow out with a victory? Here's your new starting grid then, a front row of Alex Rins, Andrea Dovizioso and Valentino Rossi, who in the initial race was down in 16th place on the grid. Danny Pedrosa 4th, ahead of Johann Zarco, and Taka Nakagami well on course for his first ever top 6 in MotoGP. Bautista heads row 3 and 7th, ahead of Pol Espargaro, who crashed in that initial run while fighting with the podium. Redding also on row 3. Cyrene Hoy Lorenzo on row 4. Michele Pirro crashed as well in that first run. He's on row 5 with Abraham and Torres, and Bradley Smith gets a second chance as well to end his KTM career in style. So here we go. It's Brent Stevens, the Kiwi mechanic, just giving on a few words of encouragement and a handshake to Valentino Rossi. This, we think, will be the final throes of a memorable 2018 MotoGP World Championship.
It's take 2 here at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia, and the warm-up lap here begins again for 16 riders. One of these gentlemen will be victorious in the rain here in Valencia. Danny Pedrosa has a lot of eyes on him at the moment, and I don't think he'll do anything silly here. He won't go gung-ho. With the experience he carries, he's already got himself up to 4th in the restart just by staying steady. Will he play the same game again? Rins, of course, in the original start of this race, blasted away from the line and was absolutely out of there. He checked out in those opening 10 or 12 laps. Can he do the same again?
I'd like to see Rins win because he's never won one, and I'd also be right because you remember I bet with you guys he would win one, and I've been wrong so far. And I'd like to see KTM on the podium because that would be amazing for them and the championship.
I just want to throw a massive spanner in the works here, and I don't think he's got the pace to win this, but you just want to watch out for the guy who's starting from 9th on the grid here in his final outing. Scott Redding will throw everything into this.
There's so many guys that are lining up on this depleted grid who've got absolutely nothing to lose. They're going to go for broke. Alex Rins trying to win his first Grand Prix, Suzuki's first in over 2 years since Vinales won the British Grand Prix in 2016, trying to give Suzuki a 4th straight podium since 1994. Valentino Rossi trying to avoid, for the 3rd time in his Grand Prix career, going winless on the factory Yamaha. Andrea Dovizioso wants to finish 2018 from the top step of the podium. Danny Pedrosa still in with a shout of what would be a fairy tale podium on his farewell Grand Prix appearance. Here comes Rins then to pole position. He was leading the way when that red flag came out on count back to the previous lap. So it will be Rins that will go from pole position on the factory Suzuki Team X Star machine. Will he be the star of the show here then in this shortened 14-lap Valencian Grand Prix?
Is it a steady Eddie that wins the race, or is it somebody that takes a chance? Alex Rins on pole, Dovi 2nd, Rossi 3rd. 14 laps in Valencia, massive opportunity. And away we go at the 2nd time of asking. A good start from all 3 riders on the front row. Valentino Rossi in particular on board here with Dovizioso though, who winds up that power on the Ducati, and it is Rins who will take the whole shot from pole position into turn 1 as the race leader.
Carbon copy of the first part, wasn't it? Alex Rins absolutely nailed the launch off the line on the factory Suzuki, being hotly pursued by Andrea Dovizioso. Danny Pedrosa holds on to 4th place. Pol Espargaro's up the inside of Taka Nakagami, so Pol Espargaro has got away as well. Really strong. He's already up inside that top 5.
Everyone's steadily and safely through the first couple of turns. Turn 4 is a tricky one though. Out wide there is a bit dangerous. It's a bit of a dangerous place to be for Johann Zarco. He's going to lose a place to maybe Michele Pirro. Rins, Dovi, Rossi is your top 3. From then Pol Espargaro now on the Red Bull KTM. Nakagami got away well also.
Deja vu then for Alex Rins. He's been in this position before, about an hour ago to be precise. He leads the way from Andrea Dovizioso, with Valentino Rossi there in 3rd place. Pedrosa's just been picked off by Pol Espargaro, so Pol Espargaro is on the charge, super aggressive, just like he was in part 1 of this Valencia Grand Prix. He's in 4th on the 44.
There is Johan Zarco ahead of Michele Pirro. He is independent champion no matter what happens here. Still a matter of 5th place in the championship to be decided, but he's battling with Rins, who leads this race.
Guys, I'm sad to say it's really started raining again.
Well, yeah, I can just actually see a lot of spots of rain falling on our commentary box window. That's the worst possible news. We didn't want to hear if the rain comes as torrential as it did in part 1. Well, we know what the outcome's going to be. We saw so many crashes in that first instalment here in Valencia. It is Alex Rins, and just as he did in P1. He's going to get blitzed though by Andrea Dovizioso's Ducati on the start-finish straight. It is then Dovizioso that leads as we start lap 2 of 14.
Desmo Dovi leads then, looking back now at Alex Rins. Don't forget that, of course, the 3/4 distance now is a lot shorter over a 14-lap race. So if we go past 7 or 8, we are in a place where the result would be declared. That feels like a long way away as yet. There is Valentino Rossi then in 3rd place. Hasn't done anything too silly on the opening laps here.
Yeah, Rins and Dovizioso were the sharpest out of the gate on that first lap, the only 2 in the 147s. Alex Rins is the only man in this field with that medium front tyre on. A bit of a combination here. Some riders have gone out on brand new rain tyres, some are out on used tyres because they've used up their allocation with so much wet track time already completed this weekend.
Is that one of the problems Rins had in that first part of the race when he went wide? Had he used up too much of that soft front tyre? Is that why he's gone medium? Here we are now. This is where Rins went wide earlier in that first part of the race. It is Dovizioso that leads from Alex Rins on the factory Suzuki and Rossi. The 3 of them now pulling away from Polo Spargaro and Dani Pedrosa in 4th and 5th.
It's either that or Rins has just got no more soft tyres left at his disposal. Could be a possible option, although did he not like it in the practice sessions we've already had so far. Gigi Dell'Igna looking on, pretty pensive. It's his man Andrea Dovizioso that leads here in Valencia, hotly pursued by Alex Rins and Valentino Rossi. Rossi still right in contention for his first win of the season. In fact, he's just set the fastest lap at 1:42.062 from Rossi. He's within 0.3 of a second of your race leader Dovizioso.
A little samurai, Dani Pedrosa there in 5th, is eyeing up a move here on Polo Spargaro. Pedrosa might just find himself in 4th place in a moment, and then he'll just be 1 away from what would be a dream final podium before he bows out.
Well, how tantalisingly frustrating would that be for Dani Pedrosa to end his Grand Prix career just 1 place off the podium. So much time though still to run in this shortened restart here in Valencia. 11.5 laps to go, and it's as it was in the first start really. Dovizioso, Rins and Rossi have been able to pull away.
There is the Repsol Honda rider, the only Repsol Honda rider out there after the crash from Marc Marquez earlier. And this is the battle for the win. The leading group coming around now for Dovizioso. 42, Alex Rins. Number 46, Valentino Rossi, and Rins is closing in. He smells a move here on Andrea Dovizioso. They will find it difficult, as always, Matt, to pass the Ducati on the straight once Dovizioso hooks this thing up.
Yeah, we're into this very, very tricky sector 4. This is where we've seen so many crashes. Dani Pedrosa has found a way through then on Polo Spargaro's KTM, but Dani Pedrosa, he's already let this top 3 get away by nearly 4 seconds. A real good ding-dong going on here between Pedrosa and Polo Spargaro. Polo Spargaro with a retaliatory move up the inside of Pedrosa at the final corner, and Polo Spargaro found a way through. It was tight, a bit of a squeeze, but he did make it through.
Yeah, not exactly a polite exchange, given that it's Dani's final race of the year, but that's not what we're here for. At the front, 11 laps remain. We're on lap 4. Dovizioso, Rins and Rossi are all in the same shot, and Rossi closes in across the line last time. Rins just about the fastest rider, but not a lot to split them.
Yeah, these 3 are hammering the rest of the field. They're all in the low 143s, 143.1 done by all 3. Polo Spargaro a 145.1, so they're 2 seconds slower, Polo Spargaro and Dani Pedrosa, than this lead trio.
Taka Nakagami there doing a great job. He's in 7th. He's chasing down Michele Pirro. The spray picks up again as the rain falls once more here in Valencia. Oh, a bit of aquaplaning almost there from Alex Rins, a wobble from the front end.
We saw that a couple of times, didn't we, in the initial start? Coming into that turn 8, you got a lot of lean angle. There's standing water there. We saw a few riders have problems with their rear tyre hooking up into this tight infield section. On board with Valentino Rossi then, getting a face full of spray from Alex Rins, just gives you an indication there of just how difficult the spray is in terms of visibility. Valentino Rossi was worried about that. He said that was going to be his main issue, coming from 16th on the grid in the initial start. Brilliant fight back by Rossi into third place when the red flags came out. He hasn't been able to make any inroads at the moment into Dovizioso and Rins since we got this restart back underway.
Took him a while in the first start to get going, Valentino Rossi. He's not got third place in the championship to worry about now. That's in the bag. It's all about winning here. And it's Andrea Dovizioso that leads across the line. A 42.4 from him. That was a good 0.3 quicker than both Rins and Rossi that time.
And boy, would Rossi love to win to make up for the crushing disappointment, the late heartache in Malaysia when he was leading for so long, and then went down the first corner with 4 laps to go in Sepang.
It's just dropped off the back for now of Alex Rins. Oh, but a rear end wobble from Rins. The trouble is, Matt, every time a rider gets close to the tail of another, the visibility is gone.
Somebody give Davide Brivio something to chew on, because he's got nothing left of those fingernails. He's been put through the mill for the second time, of course. He saw Alex Rins lead for so long in the first instalment. He's right in contention again, although Andrea Dovizioso, he's eked that advantage out to over half a second. That's the biggest lead Dovizioso's had since we got back underway. And Alex Rins was just in a fraction wide, about a metre offline, going through turn number 8.
It's amazing, isn't it? Dovizioso has had a bit of a hate relationship with this Riccardo Tormo circuit over the years.
Yeah, interesting as well, Steve, wasn't it? On a soaking wet Friday, both practice sessions, Andrea Dovizioso felt like the GP18, with some weight distribution changes, he felt like it wasn't the potent weapon the GP17 was in the rain conditions. They've had plenty of time to dial in their wet setup here this weekend, so credit to Dovizioso and the Ducati engineers. The old Bologna boffins have been working their magic, because they put a GP18 underneath him today that's been in victory contention in both phases of the race. In fact, he's just got into the 141s, Dovizioso. He's pulling away here. He's 1.2 seconds clear of Alex Rins. Last time around, Andrea Dovizioso was 0.6 of a second clear of the Spaniard. Valentino Rossi was a 10th slower than Rins himself, so Rins 1.2 seconds back of Dovizioso. Rossi almost 0.6 back of Rins, so Dovizioso's taking control of this race.
You got 3 very smooth riding styles in Andrea Dovizioso, Alex Rins and Valentino Rossi. That's part of the reason why things are working out pretty well for them at the moment, but Dovizioso has a big advantage here. A little bit of a second buffer, if you like. Behind Rossi, Pol Espargaro is back ahead of Dani Pedrosa again. Those two continue to fight it out.
Pol Espargaro there in 4th place. 5 different manufacturers there in occupying the 5 top places. Ducati versus Suzuki versus Yamaha. KTM and Honda then right in the mix as well. Scott running on the factory Aprilia just outside the top 10. Otherwise, we'd have all 6 factories inside the top 10 here in Valencia.
This would be by far and away the best result for KTM in MotoGP since their arrival, by the way.
Yeah, their previous best was a 9th place, wasn't it? Long time ago, that seems like now for KTM. Closest I've ever been to the victory was 14 seconds behind the race winning Aragon last year. That was in a full dry race, of course. Pol Espargaro at the moment within 10 seconds of your race leader Andrea Dovizioso, and he's got Dani Pedrosa under control. As he, Dani Pedrosa actually needs to be careful, because he's got Michele Pirro hunting him down as well. You can see there Valentino Rossi having a wheel spin, aquaplaning on that start-finish straight. He knows he's got to force the issue here on Alex Rins. Dovizioso's clearing off. Rossi's got to make a move, sharpish on Alex Rins if he's going to end the season on the top step of the podium. Andrea Dovizioso last time around again, fastest lap of the race, 141.863, 1.6 seconds clear now. Rossi he had to make that move. He had to make that move with 7 and a bit laps to go. Valentino Rossi can see Andrea Dovizioso going away. Alex Rins has not got the feel, he's not got the rhythm and the speed that he had in the first part of this race. So now it's up to Rossi to try and hunt down Andrea Dovizioso. Boy, have those two had some big battles in their Grand Prix career. I remember one in the rain conditions at Silverstone in 2015. That day, it was Valentino Rossi who came out on top.
8 laps remain here in Valencia in what has been a remarkable day across all 3 classes, but in MotoGP, Dovizioso it is that has a 1.5 second lead. Valentino Rossi chasing him down. The gap's now up to 1.7. Rins has dropped to 3rd. He might struggle now to hold on to Valentino Rossi. He might well cut his losses and settle for just a podium and let Rossi go and chase down Dovizioso.
Remember in part 1, Steve, it was actually the wetter it got, the faster Valentino Rossi got. He became much more competitive, didn't he? The more rain there was. Has he just found a way through Alex Rins just a little bit too late? Has he let Andrea Dovizioso make the decisive break? Dovizioso again was just over a 10th faster than this man. Yeah, Alex Rins is really struggling. Dovizioso on 1:41.8. Rins was a second slower than your race leader. He's struggling to go as well here with Valentino Rossi. Alex Rins may well just batten down the hatches here and go, you know what? I'm happy to take a 7th successive top 6 finish. I'm happy to take a 4th successive podium for Suzuki for the first time since 1994 as Michele Pirro finds a way through on Danny Pedrosa. Simon.
No, sorry, it wasn't me.
Just again, a little bit of background interference coming through our headset. Apologies there, Simon. Here's Pirro picking the pocket of Pedrosa.
Won't be the first time that Michele Pirro is finished 5th in the MotoGP race in Valencia. A remarkable record that continues.
Guys, the conditions, you know, it started the race, it was perfect, a really light drizzle, almost nothing, and then it started raining so hard, I thought, oh no, we're going to have a red flag again. Now it's rolled off to a light drizzle, which is perfect. At least it's predictable for the guys, same every lap, but there's another big black cloud on its way.
Well, hopefully it will disappear. We've got 7 laps left of this one. The gap at the front is 1.7.
Pirro picking the pockets of Pedrosa. Don't ask me to say that at the party tonight.
Lean angle, 46 degrees, ploughing through a river at turn 13 for Andrea Dovizioso, the race leader.
Yeah, Valentino Rossi just cannot get that deficit down to below 1.5 seconds. Andrea Dovizioso, in these situations, there's normally ice coursing through his vein. It's very rarely that you see Andrea Dovizioso buckle under pressure over the line. Stretches advantage to 2.4 seconds over Rossi. Oh, Bautista's down. Not the way that he wanted to bow out of MotoGP. That's a real shame for Bautista. Thankfully he's okay. Airbag's gone off. He's on the floor at turn 12. How many riders have crashed at turn 12 this weekend? And again, look at that. Just nothing he could do. The rear coming around on him with no warning whatsoever. He'd have been caught cold by that one, poor old Alvaro Bautista. Back with your race leader, Dovizioso. It's now gone up to 2.5 seconds. Valentino Rossi running out of time here to do anything about Dovizioso.
Yeah, Rossi's just struggled on these last couple of laps, and Dovizioso's in a really good groove. Alex Rins has just settled a bit as well, similar lap times to Rossi. This is the man then, it looks like he's in control of this one. Yeah. 2.4 up.
Testing conditions. Valentino Rossi testing Andrea Dovizioso's nerve and poise and concentration, and Andrea Dovizioso, as ever, it's cold here, but he's cool, calm and collected. Valentino Rossi, although he'll be happy to be back on the podium, we haven't seen him on a podium since the Sachsenring in Germany a long time ago. It's his worst ever run without a podium on a factory Yamaha. 13 years on board an M1 for Valentino Rossi. He's got Alex Rins covered. Rins is now almost a second behind Valentino Rossi. I think he's shutting up shop, isn't he, Rins? The baker is closed for business. He's taking the podium.
Well, it would be a great job from Rins, wouldn't it, this season? 5 podiums in total it would be for him, and it would be 5th in the World Championship.
I think 9 podiums for Suzuki as well. That's their best tally, I think, since 2007 maybe. A long time since the days of John Hopkins and Chris Vermeulen. So Suzuki are well and truly back in MotoGP, and talking about outstanding results, what a day it's been all round for Red Bull and KTM, with Polis Varga at the moment in 4th place. Credit as well to Michele Pirro. He's just fired in his fastest lap of the race, a 1:42.953. Pit Byra looking on. He can barely look on as he sees potentially a best ever MotoGP result beckoning for Polis Varga.
We're inching closer to the point of the race where it could be declared if race control had deemed it to be too dangerous. At the moment, this doesn't look anywhere near as bad as it was earlier. I don't think that it'll come to that.
And Andrea Dovizioso, Steve, it's in his hands now. It's only going to be a massive mistake by Dovizioso. He has made them this year, let's not forget. Crashed out of the lead in Le Mans, he crashed off the podium in Barcelona. He crashed out when he was fighting Marc Marquez in Motegi. That gave Marc Marquez the World Championship in 2018. It was all pretty academic anyway. It was only going to delay the inevitable if Dovizioso did get the upper hand on Marquez in Japan, as we ride on board briefly with Jorge Lorenzo. Not the way that he envisaged his factory Ducati career coming to an end.
Who's that?
Rossi. Rossi on the deck.
Rossi's gone down from second place. He was chasing Dovizioso. In truth, he wasn't going to catch Dovizioso. And the Movistar Yamaha team have come away pointless.
When was the last time, Steve, Valentino Rossi launched it off the podium in back-to-back races? Has it ever happened?
It's turn 12 for Valentino Rossi. In he goes, the back comes round on him, and down and out.
So, 2 races in succession that Valentino Rossi has thrown away a podium, and what that means, of course, now is KTM are on the podium with Pol Espargaro. Wow. Here he is in 3rd place, and he's just set his fastest lap of the race, a 1:42.687. I'm sure they're going to be going to Pol Espargaro now. Tranquilo, calm down, because he's got a massive cushion. He's 2 seconds clear of Michele Pirro. What a day this would be for Pol Espargaro and the factory KTM team. It's been a really disappointing season in many respects for the Austrian factory, but this would be a sensational conclusion to just their 2nd season in the MotoGP World Championship. And let's not forget, Steve, in part 1, Espargaro crashed, and he's going to be on the podium.
It's incredible, isn't it, how this has all worked out? But we just saw Pit Byra a moment ago. He looked pumped just for 4th. Well, what is he going to look like for 3rd? Best result of a 9th. Well, it's going to be a 3rd here, potentially, for Pol Espargaro. 4 laps, though. That's a long way around Valencia in conditions like this, and that's the same sort of crash we saw from Iannone earlier. Valentino
Rossi is not in an exclusive club when it comes to crashing through turn number 12. It's been a horror show for the Movistar Yamaha team, because both of their riders are not going to see the checkered flag. Well, Rossi, of course, has remounted. Maverick Vinales out in the first part of this race. So, Andrea Dovizioso now, well, he can just go into cruise control, really. They're telling him there, +6 over Alex Rins. Andrea Dovizioso is not going to take any crazy, unnecessary risks here. With that kind of advantage and a victory beckoning for Ducati, Rossi's in 13th place, an unlucky 13th for him. I can't recall the last time, as we said, Valentino Rossi blew it from podium positions in 2 races in a row.
Well, Michele Pirro is on for his best ever MotoGP result now as well, ahead of Danny Pedrosa. He's just a couple of seconds clear of the retiring number 26, who's moved up to 5th as a result of that. Takaki Nakagami's on for a 6th place finish as well.
So here is Andrea Dovizioso then. There's only ever been 2 wins for Ducati here in Valencia. One of those famously 12 years ago in that unforgettable final race showdown with the late great Nicky Hayden and Valentino Rossi. It was a crash that day that ended Rossi's world title hopes. Troy Bayliss, of course, on secondment to the factory Ducati team, taking a famous win a decade ago since Casey Stoner triumphed here in 2008. Since then, or since 2010, Ducati have only ever had 1 podium here in Valencia. That was Andrea Iannone on his Ducati farewell in 2016.
Alex Rins, who's been fantastic since the Saxon Ring. He was 2nd, of course, in Assen. Then he managed to get himself up there on the podium in Motegi, in Sepang as well, and perhaps here today as well. Dovizioso with this race victory, if he keeps it, it will be his best ever podium tally in a MotoGP season that he's ever had. And Pol Espargaro has never had a MotoGP podium, never mind KTM. After all those efforts, when he was with Tech 3 Yamaha for 3 full seasons, he got a load of 4th places, but he has never had a MotoGP podium either.
He's keeping Michele Pirro at arm's length. Pirro over the line, 2.2 seconds behind Pol Espargaro. 3/10 faster last time around was Michele Pirro. He distanced his fastest lap of the race. Running out of time though to try and hunt down Policho, as it says on the back of his leathers. Espargaro, what a tough 2018 it's been for him. He spent most of it injury ravaged. A big crash at the first test on just day 2 of winter testing in Malaysia really badly disrupted his pre-season. Of course, that massive one, the biggest crash of his career in the warm-up session in Brno. Left him with some really nasty injuries, but kept him out for a couple of races, and he broke his collarbone again, didn't he, in Aragon? It's been a real torrid and tough year for Espargaro. As Valentino Rossi runs on as well at the second corner. It's turning into a bit of a nightmare, unfortunately, here for Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, well, he saw Lorenzo and Redding up ahead of him, who he's catching, and he might have thought, well, I'll get another few points here, but unfortunately, too much.
Well, the mood in the factory Yamaha garage will be as grey and gloomy as the skies here in Valencia, with Maverick Vinales crashing out in the first and some. I just wonder whether that was something to do with a bit of damage on Valentino Rossi's bike. Andrea Dovizioso then comes out of the final corner for the penultimate time. He's had his ups and downs this season. Some costly DNFs, as we mentioned, put massive dents in his championship challenge, but it looks like he will end 2018 with a rare victory on Valencian soil. And for the factory Ducati team, Alex Rins has got second place locked down.
You have to say, Matt, given the pressures of coming into this restarted race, the opportunity was there, and Dovizioso has executed this brilliantly.
You saw there Mike Leitner. He didn't know what to do with his fingers and thumbs there, did he, Mike Leitner? Just so racked with tension and nerves. Dovizioso then looks like he's going to take the checkered flag first here in a truly dramatic day of action here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. History beckons for Andrea Dovizioso. This will be Ducati's 50th victory in Grand Prix racing, their 46 in MotoGP. He's got just, 6 corners left now to negotiate. Here he is into turn number 8 for the final time. He has a good long look just to see where Alex Rins is.
It's all under control for Dovizioso, Rins and Espargaro at the moment. A few crucial corners left. Michele Pirro would have given Pol Espargaro a bit of a headache if there were another few laps left.
Yeah, Dovizioso's done it, and he knows he's done it. He can go into relax mode now. The sweet taste of victory in the final Grand Prix of the year coming the way of Andrea Dovizioso. Suzuki's 4th podium in succession for the first time since 1994, coming the way of Alex Rins, and a first ever podium finish, surely, for the factory KTM team. What a day it's been for Red Bull KTM.
50 is up for Ducati, and Dovizioso wins the first time ever in Valencia. Second goes to Alex Rins, and there are fireworks going off on the start-finish straight, and jubilation for KTM. Their first podium, Pol Espargaro's first podium. Michele Pirro takes 4th, and Dani Pedrosa, on his final outing for Repsol Honda running Grand Prix racing, finishes in 5th overall. There's a bit of a scrap going on further back here. Oh, blimey. Bradley Smith's almost off the circuit. Nakagami takes a really solid 6th place ahead of Zarco and Bradley Smith. And Valentino Rossi, as he did in Sepang, is thinking, oh, what might have been. Simon.
I'm in the KTM garage with Pit Byra. Pit, you've seen a lot. It's going crazy in here. You've seen a lot, Pit. Motocross champion, now team manager for KTM. What does it feel like to get KTM's first podium?
I cannot talk, it's just fucking amazing. I don't know what to say, it's unbelievable. We want this so much, I cannot tell you how much we want this. So thanks for MotoGP for having us, thanks to Dorna, thanks to everybody, it's fantastic.
Congratulations.
Yeah, as you can imagine there, a bit of colourful language we apologise for, but given the day Pit Byra has had, I think we can forgive him for the emotions running high down there in that garage.
I'll tell you what, if you're staying anywhere near the Red Bull KTM operation in Valencia tonight, you're not going to get any sleep, I can guarantee that, after the day that project has had. Jubilation and joy as well for the factory Suzuki team. 1994, as we said, the last time they were on such a golden podium run. It wasn't the victory that they wanted, but their outstanding end to 2018 ended with Alex Rins on the podium. KTM, well, what a day it was for them. Pol Espargaro on the podium for the first time in MotoGP. He crashed in that first part of the race when fighting Marc Marquez for the podium. Never give up, dreams can come true. Valentino Rossi, a forlorn 13th place. I'm really struggling to recall the time when Rossi, in 2 races on the spin, crashed out of podium places.
I don't think it's happened, Matt.
No.
And I mean, I think that, you know, it's 2 bitter pills that he's had to swallow now in the last fortnight. But you know what it does do is when those who are sad for Rossi can just look at those faces in KTM, because the misfortune of some means fortune for others, and the amount of effort, the team that they've got here, that KTM put in, it's wonderful to not just see them, Matt, get a podium, but for Pol as well.
Perseverance pays off, doesn't it? Hard work, blood, sweat and tears goes on behind the scenes. As we mentioned earlier on, Pol Espargaro has put his mind and body through absolute hell at times this year. I remember speaking to his brother Aleix Espargaro after he had that crash in Brno, and they said that, you know, he got that horrible inflammation of his spinal cord. It were really dark and bleak moments. Dani Pedrosa bids farewell to the MotoGP World Championship. One of the best careers we've ever had the pleasure of witnessing has come to a safe and successful conclusion. A top 5 finish for Dani Pedrosa. That equals his best result of the season. There wasn't one more podium in the locker for Dani Pedrosa, but I'm sure he's excited for his new employers as well, with KTM on the podium for the first time.
And don't go and speak to Lynn Jarvis and Yamaha for a while, because that error from Valentino Rossi has cost them second in the team championship as well by 1 point.
Yeah, very costly mistake, wasn't it, by Valentino Rossi. Here's your race winner. What a way to round out the 2018 MotoGP World Championship. All 3 races have delivered something truly special today. Testing conditions for riders across all 3 classes, but we have had some unbelievable drama. A thrilling climax to the 2018 season. Andrea Dovizioso and Ducati, well, they bookend the season perfectly. They started with a win in Qatar on the opening night back in March, and they've taken the victory in the last race of the season. Emotional scenes here then as well, down in the Repsol Honda garage. The official at MotoGP feed, hashtag thank you Danny. I'm sure that's going to be trending very shortly across all social media platforms. A sterling fight to 5th place for Dani Pedrosa. We thank him for all the joy he's brought to us over the years, and thank him for being such a fantastic ambassador to the MotoGP World Championship, and a heartfelt good luck goes to him for whatever lies next in store. Of course, we know he's going to the factory KTM team as test rider, but what a day for this man. Pol Espargaro, well, he's going to be in floods of tears,
you can see
he
already is, and get ready for the noise, because this place is about to go off here in Valencia.
I'll tell you what, whatever injuries Aleix Espargaro had, he ain't going to be bothered about those right now. He'd be doing a Usain Bolt impression down to Parc Ferme. Great scenes as well for Taka Nakagami, top independent team rider, flying the flag today for LCR Honda. Very emotional scenes here for Pol Espargaro. Going to be a while for him to compose himself. The last time Pol Espargaro was on a podium in a World Championship race, you've got to go back over 5 years to the Japanese Grand Prix in Motegi in Moto2 back in 2013, which actually, if my memory serves me right, was the day that he was crowned Moto2 World Champion. There you go. There he is, Aleix Espargaro. Let the tears come flooding out. Aleix Espargaro, he knows what it feels like to stand on a MotoGP World Championship podium, and now he will have the unbridled joy of witnessing younger brother Pol have that honour as well.
I've got to say, I'm holding back some tears here, because it's just wonderful to see that. And look at this as well, families everywhere. Dani Pedrosa's father there saying well done.
A brilliant, loyal servant to MotoGP. A fantastic, loyal servant, of course, to the factory Honda team. KTM can't believe the day they've had. We don't like giving spoilers away, but suffice to say, it's probably been one of the best days in the history of the KTM factory.
Well, in terms of 2 wheels on tarmac, it has been.
Yeah. Congratulations as well to Alex Rins. He was inside the top 3 in both parts of that dramatic action and incident-packed Valencia Grand Prix. Boy, did the factory Suzuki team return to prominence this year. No podium in 2017 for Suzuki, 9 in 2018. A strike rate of 1 every other race this year. Shout out as well to this man, Michele Pira. That's his best ever performance, and that is brilliant to see. Bradley Smith, he would have loved to have had the honour of being the first man to take a podium finish for KTM. Those two have been career-long rivals. At times, it's been a difficult relationship because they've been battling for the big prize, but that is fantastic to see Bradley Smith come down to Parc Ferme and congratulate his teammate Pol Espargaro on a truly brilliant third-place finish. Tell you what, when Pol Espargaro was flying through the air in the first part of that Valencian Grand Prix, if when he'd come to a rest in the gravel trap, a marshal had walked up to him and said, "Don't worry, Pol, this race is going to get red flagged, you'll make the restart and you'll be on the podium," I think we would have needed a bleep machine for what Pol Espargaro was going to be unleashing out of his mouth at that stage.
I have to say, Matt, what an extraordinary day all round it has been here in Valencia. Claudio Domenicali there, obviously passing someone onto the phone there.
Yeah, congratulations all round to Ducati. It is a landmark day for them, their 50th victory in MotoGP. Great job as well by that man, Taka Nakagami. His first top 6 finish in seriously testing and taxing conditions. Certainly for the grey matter. Tough for the mental aspect, that race. Dovizioso and Ducati will celebrate. Suzuki will celebrate too. KTM, well, there's going to be a few sore heads rolling into Tuesday, I think, when we come back for pre-season testing in the KTM garage.
Johann Zarco is the best independent team rider of the year thanks to that result today. Just by finishing 7th place, he'll be pretty happy to see KTM celebrating as well, of course, because that's where he goes. He says a big thank you to Guy Coulon. There's so many emotional goodbyes and celebrations that are going to be going on here today. Some interesting stuff going on all round. A shout out to Cal Crutchlow as well, by the way, who's missed the last 3 races due to injury. He's actually ended up finishing 7th in the World Championship despite not even being hit.
Well, we said it was a fitting way in all 3 championship classes for the season to end in such dramatic fashion. I don't know if Pol Espargaro is going to be able to compose himself. Here he comes though to talk to Simon Crafer in Parc Ferme. A historic day for KTM. Pol Espargaro's first ever MotoGP podium. He's coming down. There's Gabriel Rodrigo, his great friend, coming to congratulate him in Parc Ferme as well. He's going to be ushered over to come and talk to Simon Crafer very, very shortly. Another kiss from his beautiful wife. And finally, we can say congratulations to Pol Espargaro and KTM, podium finishers in the MotoGP World Championship. He's with Simon.
Pol Espargaro, the first man in history to put a KTM on the MotoGP podium. What does that feel like?
Wow, that sounds unreal. Oh, fuck, it is unreal. I mean, the last lap, it's been like a year riding a bike. It's been so long. Also, I had Danny pushing behind, and I was pushing, but at the same time, I wanted to finish the race. Even fourth, I didn't care because even fourth is an unbelievable position, but you know, I'm full proud of KTM to be, here in the podium and to see this baby, stand with the best bikes in the world. It just makes me proud and super happy.
Congratulations.
It's been an emotionally charged day, of course, for KTM. Pol Espargaro crashed in the first part of that race. He's jubilant, he's ecstatic, and we do sincerely apologise for a couple of his chosen words in that Parc Ferme interview with Simon Crafer. There are the jubilant scenes down in the Red Bull KTM garage. That's where the emotion comes flooding out then. Pol Espargaro, the realisation hitting that he is now a podium finisher in the MotoGP World Championship. He said he was going to be happy with 4th place. Well, his day got better, didn't it? I think we're going to hear very shortly from Alex Rins. Here he comes, a 4th successive podium for Suzuki since 1994. Rins is with Simon Parc Ferme.
Alex, 5 podiums for you this year, yet another second. But how difficult was that one?
Incredible. I'm very, very, very happy. It was crazy race. The first race was incredible, unbelievable. When I started and I put first, when I saw on the pit board like 6 seconds to the second one, I say, come on, this will be nice, no? But then this last one was perfect. Second, enough. We are ready also for the next season.
Big congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant second half of the season for Alex Rins. Marc Marquez, you have been warned. 2 weeks ago, Malaysia said Suzuki will be fighting for the MotoGP World Championship next year. We can't wait to see if that prediction comes to fruition. Good to see there Valentino Rossi congratulating Alex Rins despite the bitter disappointing end to 2018 for Valentino Rossi. But Andrea Dovizioso will be coming to talk to Simon Crafer very, very shortly after he's taken a milestone victory for the factory Ducati team. Emotional scenes as well down in the Angel Nieto garage. Carola Abraham, he finished in 14th place. Alvaro Bautista as well, of course, bowing out from that team. At the end of an era, Angel Nieto, Aspar MotoGP team, they'll no longer be in the Premier Class next year. Their attention turns to Moto3 and the Moto2 World Championship as well. We will see Carola Abraham next year as part of the Reale Avinca team. As Andrea Dovizioso, slowly but surely, makes his way up the fence to talk to Simon Crafer. Ducati's 50th win in their history. Dovizioso victorious in Valencia. He's with Simon.
Absolute class, Andrea. Today was very, very difficult conditions, and as they say, cream rises to the top.
Yes, it was a crazy race. At the beginning, the first race, I didn't have a lot of feeling, and Rins start so fast, I couldn't follow him. But after step by step, I become a bit faster, and it was very dangerous. And I'm proud to don't crash in the first race because there was too many water, so a lot of water. And but the second race we did some change on the bike, and we put also the new tires, and I feel so good. The bike worked very well, and I was able to push how much I wanted, and it was too much for the competitor. So. Nice feeling to finish the championship like this.
Great work, Andrea.
10 years without a win for Ducati here at Valencia. Dovi's never won here, and it's another one he can add onto his list now, Matt.
Well, he got a second bite of the cherry, didn't he? And he took it, grasped it with both hands. A brilliant conclusion to 2018 for Ducati. As we say, they started it brilliantly in victorious fashion in Qatar. And they've taken the final 25 points on the table here in Valencia today.
I am reliably informed that it is the first time a Parc Ferme hasn't featured Yamaha and Honda since San Marino 2007.
Long time ago. Real long time ago. First time in a decade that there's been no Spanish winner here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia as well. Desmo Dovi then victorious here in Valencia in a two-part race. Where do you start to try and write the headlines after what we've seen here today in Valencia? History made in Moto3, cracking conclusion to a brilliant end of an era for the Honda-powered Moto2 World Championship. And could it get any more eventful, any more dramatic and any more exciting to bring the curtain down on the MotoGP World Championship this year? A two-part race. Alex Rins made the running in the early part of that first leg. 4.5 seconds clear he was at one stage. We saw crashes for Jack Miller when he was going very, very well on the Almapan with Ducati. Crash as well for his teammate Danilo Petrucci. The official @World SBK Twitter feed. Congratulations, Alvaro Bautista, on a brilliant Grand Prix career. Tomorrow a new chapter begins. Welcome to World SBK, and what a welcome addition Alvaro Bautista will be to the World Superbike Championship next year. He'll be eagerly anticipating his first ride on Ducati's brand new, gorgeous looking Panigale V4 that he'll try and wrestle the championship away from Kawasaki's dominant Jonathan Rea. Back to MotoGP. Dorna CEO Carmelo Espeleta there, quite rightly coming to the podium as always to congratulate the efforts of the top three men today in some of the most difficult conditions we've seen all season long. We should also say credit as well to race direction for taking the wise and sensible decision to halt proceedings when the rain really got heavy in that first part. But let's lap up and in these wet conditions soak up the final podium finish of the 2018 MotoGP World Championship. A delighted Ducati camp welcome their man Andrea Dovizioso to the top step of the podium. The Dobby chant rings out down there just below the podium in Parc Ferme. Andrea Dovizioso's first victory since Misano. Seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it, in Misano back in September. Sandra Iniesta, marketing director for Motul here in the Iberia region, the team and constructor trophy handed over to Ducati. A moment of history here being done by FIM President Vito Ippolito. A first ever MotoGP podium, not only for Pol Espargaro, but also for the factory KTM team, the 27-year-old from the outskirts of Barcelona. It's his 45th Grand Prix podium, his first in his 86th MotoGP start. And the first, of course, for KTM. Alex Rins, the 22-year-old from Barcelona. Maria Jose Rienda handing over the second place trophy to Alex Rins. It's also his 45th Grand Prix podium finish, his 5th in the MotoGP World Championship in his 31st start. Another great day, another memorable day for the factory Suzuki team. But Valencia dignitaries handing over the main prize, the top prize, to 0-4 Andrea Dovizioso, the 32-year-old from Forlì in Italy, his 92nd career podium, the 51st of his MotoGP career, his 21st victory and 12th in MotoGP. Congratulations, Andrea Dovizioso. .50 wins and counting then for Ducati. Wasn't the year that they were able to wrestle the World Championship away from Marc Marquez, but they've ended it in the best possible fashion with a victory here in really difficult conditions for Andrea Dovizioso. As we say, it's 294 Grand Prix started, 196 in MotoGP, his 12th win, 51st podium. He edges ever close to that magic milestone of 100 podiums, just 8 to go now for Andrea Dovizioso, and what a day for Pol Espargaro. You will not find a bigger smile anywhere else on planet Earth right now than the one being worn by Pol Espargaro as the traditional firecracker ceremony lights up and raises the decibel levels here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. 3 very happy men on the podium to round off the 2018 MotoGP World Championship. Commiserations, of course, to the likes of Valentino Rossi, Maverick Vinales and Marc Marquez, Danilo Petrucci and Jack Miller, who all had podium potential in today's action, but they were succumbed to these very tricky conditions. I trust you can still hear us actually in the commentary box with these rather loud and rather magnificent firecrackers that are going off. It's always the traditional conclusion, isn't it, to proceedings here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. Wow, yeah. Has anybody got a set of earplugs I could borrow? Brilliant scenes here in Valencia.
I think that's it.
Yeah, we can